Hey, how's it going, everyone? We are back in action, online live, shower door professionals. Um, Hope you're having a great week. I'm looking forward to the call tonight. We've got an actual topic that we're going to talk about. Haven't done that in a while, so it's going to be fun, and I love this topic. We're talking about systems. What are systems? What is that? What does that even mean? Rob, what are we even talking about when we say systems, man? What does that even mean?
Uh, when I hear systems, I think of when I was younger and bullheaded, and my old boss would always say systems and processes, Gomez. And I ran a detail shop, and no matter what issues were happening, he always asked, "What's your process? What in your process failed?" And I got so mad for so many years for because I would always give him different answers, but I never understood, and it irritated me why he would refocus me with this same old question. And then years later, when I go to the media agency world and run ads and get people leads and do the back and forth on the opposite side of Glassland and owning a shop and the media side, when I came back to help the shop, I found myself repeating everything that George Martinko was saying. Systems and processes. Y'all are missing systems and processes. They thought they just needed new leads to fix the problem. We just need leads. I'm like, great. What happens when you answer them? Well, I started realizing that I was responding like the old wise mentor that I thought was just grilling me, but was actually drilling in this process because he was really good at what he did. And it took us a year to realize that without those systems and processes, all those other things are just fluff. Like they're nightmares. When you think you need new leads and new money, and you haven't visited your systems, well, you're gonna get 20 customers, and you're gonna realize that if they're Dennis's friend, they get this kind of discount. Troy's friend gets this kind of discount. That person knows the owner. Oh, y'all don't even have a system and a process for how I can quote and give a reasonable time frame to the customer for the product. That was a lack of system one. So you're already leading to an office full of confusion because of the variables you have there. No
Mhm.
system there. What's your system for responding to a lead? Sometimes it's one day, sometimes it's four, sometimes we don't. Sometimes whenever I get around to it. And it works real good because we got a lot of money. And that's kind of a lot of way when people don't track, they just measure lights are on, bills are paid, truck is nice, and success.
Money in the
And
bank.
without data, yeah, that's to me, systems is where it all starts. Every problem, every mistake. Someone messes something up. What's your process? Do we have one? If we do, did they fail or did we? And if they failed repeatedly, do we have a process for correcting it? It's like that's what I hear when I see systems. What do y'all think about? Do y'all think of glass world? Do y'all think of like intake of like glass when it comes to the labor and fabricating and all of that process, and you don't even care about like the truck part and the delivery part, or because I know some people seem to have some pockets figured out, while other ones are just blank. They don't even like have any focus on the area. I know Adrian's killing it on the post process, but he seems to voice a nightmare on the front end process sometimes, or at least certain part of the process being followed the way it should. I don't know if it's lack of system or just lack of revisiting the training and what a system needs to be put.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were just talking before we, went into the live stream. And I was just asking Adrian how it's going, and we're talking a little bit about like what are you doing for marketing, and is the phone ringing? And he's like, yeah, that he's on a busy street, like he's one of the oldest guys in town. As far as shops go, he's not the oldest guy, but his shop is one of the oldest shops, right? And doing, using follow up. Sounds like he's got Elite helping him out. So probably doing some Facebook ads. So the phone rings, right? So but what then what? Then what? Right? The phone rings, then what? What happens next? And so when I hear systems, I think it's just synonymous with what you call like standard operating procedures, right?
Hmm.
SOPs, processes, right? Procedures, all of those things. I'm heavy into this Dan Martell thing right now, really going over that, really like building my systems over here. So he calls it playbooks. That's his
Hmm.
word for like standard operating procedure. He's got this great system I love. He calls it the camcorder method, where it's just basically you video yourself doing the thing, and then you build a system around that, right? So he likes C words. So it's camcorder method is what he calls the videoing. Then there's a checklist, which is the high level things that have to get done when you're doing that particular task or process or whatever. Um, there's what's the other C? It talks about there's a checklist. There's a just basically I can't remember what word he uses, but there's the procedure itself, right? So it's just line by line, like a document that says first you do this, then you do that, then you do that, and it's all the same stuff that's in the video that that you have. So it's a really easy way to put together a procedure, a system, for doing something. And then these playbooks can be it can be just one task or it can be a whole like department and everything that happens in that department. Every playbook, kind of a playbook, a system of systems, a list of lists. But if you don't have a set way that something's done every time, then it's likely to fall through the cracks. I think back to when I was a kid, just when I was like bumming around the country, just doing, just going places. I worked in the restaurant business a lot, right? That's what you do. Because like any town you go to, there's a restaurant. And if you know how to work in the restaurant business, man, you can always get a job and you get to eat too. So that's a bonus. So I was working with this guy in Fort Worth, actually,
Hmm.
this Arab dude who was doing Italian food. And he was like, man, he was really big on this. Like, whenever you do this dish, do it exactly this way. And he said, my food may be crap, but I want it to be the exact same crap every time, you know? Because, what you do is subjective and people are going to have different opinions, but consistency like really matters. And that's something that having a procedure gives you. It gives you that same, the same product. You're producing the same product every time. Go to McDonald's, you know what you're going to get. It may be crap, but it's the same crap no matter what town you go to.
Yeah, Martell is huge on that. I love his books and different videos on it. A great one for y'all to go and look up is his one on systems, how to scale yourself out of the business, building businesses that scale. Because he talks about that camcorder method and then empowering your people. Because you don't build, he says, you don't build businesses, you build people, and people build businesses. And yes, you can do it a different way, but that is a very strong way to do it that I've seen successful when you create the playbooks, you empower your people to understand what your process is. But just like playbooks on the field, they know how to do an audible. And if they're all understand how the system works, they make the right audible call. But most of the time, people are just wild gunning it from the beginning, not even referring to a playbook. They're just everyone's doing it the way they want, and there's nothing to refer back to hold anyone accountable, to remove yourself from the business, to have someone else answer. And when you do, like, audit your time was like the number one thing our business coach told us like years ago. Pay him a lot of money. What's the first thing they make you do? A lot of work. And the first thing is auditing every minute of your day. Every 10 minutes, you're going to fill in this block we have with what you did. No judgment, no nothing, but over 2 weeks, we're going to see what fills your time. Over time, we're going to analyze what these tasks are and put them into those four quadrants. Different people have their way, but Martell talks about putting these things you do into four categories, and then trying to understand which ones were high priority, low priority, which ones were $10 hat things you were doing, like sweeping the floor concepts versus $1,000 hat ideas, closing the next deal, and understanding that if a majority of your week, 20 hours, 30 hours was put on $10 hat hour stuff, hire somebody at $10 an hour and have them do 20 of those hours for you. They're not going to do it as well because you're so perfect and great. And we know this, but they're going to do it at 80% efficiency. And then you can come behind and at least 20% of it's done for you. And that's the way he talks about approaching every section of your business. First, auditing your time, then categorizing what can be offloaded to someone else. And if you have no clue, recording yourself doing it and talking out loud while you do it. No setup, no camera, no waiting till Amazon has a sale. Go and turn on your phone and record yourself drawing your next shower and talk out why you're doing the things you're doing. After a few of those videos, you can either give it to someone else to chop up or you chop up yourself, which probably will take 3 months in your drive and never be done. So give it to someone at $20 an hour or $20 a day, depending who you hire, to chop up this, create how-tos, give it to Loom or Zoom or any of these AIs that will take your recording and create the SOP itself. Loom Pro has a great, I love it. It added the feature without me asking. I used to have to do a lot of steps in my tech side to make this outcome. But now, if I just record a how-to on my Loom Pro account, it automatically creates the SOPs, the how-tos, the step-by-step of what I did, and then it allows me to create the email or the document. And then now I put that document in my drive. And now someone or I can go and look, were those steps right? Could someone do that thing for me going forward? They don't have to quote the 90-degree notch shower with a weird outage. Like that, I know that's only you sometimes, but they can do the standard 90 and understanding how they can do the pocket of those, the standard mirrors and offset those. Because most of the time, us owners are doing a lot of that work, but auditing your time first allows you to see where you're even at. What do you need to hire for? What skill set do you most need? What are you wasting your time most doing? And then he has like buy that, buy back your time book. Like it literally has all these step by step how tos.
Yes.
Every chapter has a walk away action. Here's what you do next. No weird philosophical stuff. Just here, go do this. Audit your email. Have someone else managing that. Remove yourself. And when you get your time back, reinvest it in things you love to do that light you up, not more work, because busy work doesn't get stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it. It's actually I just pasted the link into the chat. If you go to this link, buybackyourtime.com/resources. He'll just give you his like kind of it's an ebook, like a PDF with all of the resources in there. All you need to do is give him your email address and he'll put you on his email list. And that's the cost of getting this resource, but it's an awesome resource. And I was looking at doing this, auditing my time and going through the book again for like the third or fourth time. And he talks about this. Yeah, you need to do this, audit your time. And I'm like, every time I hear this, like, I don't know, how am I going to make time to do this? How cumbersome is it going to be for me to like keep track of what I do every 15 minutes of my day for like 2 weeks? Who can do that? And he's got a form that you can, fill out and use. So I looked at it and I was like, what I realized is like I've got my calendar on my phone and I use a Google Calendar on my phone to keep track of what I need to be. What if I just like put in my phone what I'm doing every 15 minutes? How hard would that be? I've got my phone with me all day long. And so I started doing it. It was like actually really easy. So I've been doing that for a couple of days. And he says like highlight green the tasks that you get energy from doing, right? Highlight red the tasks that you like hate to do. And then put in a dollar sign or multiple dollar signs, 1 to 4, right? For how much it's worth, the task that you're doing. So what you can do is pretty quickly figure out, oh, I'm spending this much time doing these tasks that don't pay anything or aren't really worth anything, or that I could actually hire someone like Rob is saying for minimum wage to do for me, you know? And then here are the tasks with $4 signs that like only I can do, really super high level tasks. And you start to find that like those are the ones that are green, right? Because those are the things that are like turning you on, making you lots of money. It's what you live to do. And it might be sales, it might be like, or for you, whatever it is probably the thing that's propelling your business, that you should be doing exclusively, and somebody else should be doing all that other stuff. So anyway, I've really taken this to heart, because I think that this is really the key to what's going to make me more successful, um, in business and get me out of like working every day. I mean, I love to work. I work 12 hours a day, you know, and I love it. I'm stoked. But if what if I did want to go on vacation someday, I would like my company to run without me, and that's what systems can really do for you. I hear. I haven't actually experienced it, but I hear it and I believe it.
Well, the other side of systems is like what apps you use, what systems you have in those apps, and how many different context switching. Because we know like diluted focus in like the brain studies, the Cornell studies, the way we've always talked about. I'm a great multitasker. No, you're not. Not one study has proven that multitasking is a more effective way. In fact, it's counter. And me, a multitasker, hates that there's not one piece of evidence I can use to say, actually, I'm different and I'm right. My multitasking is amazing and I'm great. Every study and every brain coach, top to bottom, always talks about how inefficient it is to task switch, context switch.
Hmm.
And the new age of that we're all experiencing that isn't really talked about or looked at in that same vein is app switching, where you're the same studies now showing how much time and lack of focus and efficiency happens when you're logging in from one app to another to do a task, how much distraction happens when they're logging out of one app to go to another to transfer data over or to complete the process that they're in the middle of, and the little distractions that happen. So looking at all your systems to try to integrate as much as possible, and automate when something happens in one place, make it happen in another. When something get updated in payments over here, make it update to QuickBooks. Hey, at the end of the month, we also have to give accounting a list of this, or that. How about we automate these certain things going to a spreadsheet for accounting? Like, what are the monthly, weekly, daily tasks that are happening? And trying to figure out, I know 10 years ago, these were really outlandish ideas and things to ask, but now it is here. The possibility and the conversation needs to happen today of how do you keep moving towards not having to double data entry anything. You shouldn't enter someone's name once in one place and have to enter in another, or information about products or details here and then retype them somewhere else. And if you do have to type emails or messages out to people and they're kind of standard, these should be pre-drafted for you already. If you don't want AI doing and sending and communicating, at least having it prep things for you. It doesn't have to build the house for you, but if it could carry all the materials to the house and order them when they're empty for you and have it all set for you to go, it'd be just, you're still the one doing the custom craft. But the assistance of these machines, I think, is going to really set a lot of people apart going forward. And Dan Martell has another video on that, how his how-to guide, it's like 15 minutes long, I think, on how to use AI, his 6 recommendations, how people are using it wrong, and his little 6 quick guides to make you start using it easier. And it's all free. I know what he gives away in that YouTube video too.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of resources available, and it's really affordable. I mean, for just a few bucks, you can buy, the book. And before I read, um, actually, a friend of mine recommended this book, the Dan Martell's book. Before that, I had read Michael Gerber's. book, The E-Myth, right? The E-Myth Revisited.
Mm-hmm.
And and that was really eye-opening. And by the time I read that, I had been owned a business for like 20 years or something, and was like completely a prisoner of it. Just was just like an employee in my own business, and wish that I had done like what he is laying out in that book about, how to build your business, to basically run without you, right? And there are some great ideas and principles in there, but really no real like um, step-by-step way to implement that in business. And the Buy Back Your Time book really does have that. I mean, it just really gives you like basic step-by-step instructions on how to start applying this in your business if you're already um, running a business. And it's brilliant, man. Um, yeah, I wish I knew this, a long time ago. In a completely different place. Um,
Yeah, it sounds so boring when I talk to my friends about it. When they're asking me for business advice to start, or when they're looking have me look at their business, I know I bore them, and I realize that's what my old boss did to me when they would want certain things, and I would tell them, no, actually, you need a strong foundation. You need the systems. You need to document how you're doing that process. And then 5 months later, for my friend to come to me to not listen to anything, to just go crazy getting new business, and now he's on fire. Won't stop ringing. Doesn't know how to train anyone else, and he's overloaded and behind on work. And now he's like, "Oh, I see what you're saying. I needed that." And that's usually what 90% of people do. I mean, you don't think you need these things until it's you don't think you need a stronger boat until you're in the water and the leak is there. And if I want to talk about wanting to spend 3 extra months building the boat to handle the waves that are in the middle of the ocean, and you're just worried about getting out in the water, you don't care about all that. And the problems happen when you're out there. But systems show later. Like you said, you wish you knew because you lived the nightmare. I lived the nightmare of having no system of how we label pictures. So then I'm looking at 2,000 pictures in a library and spending hours and having VAs revisit every picture. How do we get it? And oh, angles suck. Taking it from the right, all these concepts and creating SOPs out of our nightmare
mhm.
when we have 50 different customers that didn't get quotes back. Well, something's broken in our system. Why? What happened? Let's create a process for how many days it takes. How do we know? Where's the report? Can we automate that report to show us what new leads were in, how many dropped off, how many didn't answer? And for every lead that said no, do we have a process to ask them all? Is it a check mark that's on their profile? So we have standard things we do for every single customer. And by looking at their profile, you can see the checklist to know what was done and what wasn't when it comes to what we think we need to do. Just like with every job, silicone, wipe it down, picture review. Well, every customer document, label all of these things, label the pictures correctly, put it in our profile right. So later on, you have that library and that system that you can scale from. Because then you can go on vacation and you can run an ad. And when they say, I need these pictures, just go Google these keywords in our library. So and so doesn't know what to do about this job. I created some videos on it. Go watch them. And I recorded every scenario. So what are you asking? What haven't we gone over? And that's how you remove yourself from a business. If you can't take a week off without everything going on fire, you have some things on your plate to do.
Right. And the interesting thing about this is even if you don't want to ever leave your business, let's say you never want to have a day off for the rest of your life. You just love it. You love installing shower doors so much that you can't imagine, even ever.
Lies, lies.
Even if that was the case, by putting together systems, you automatically improve your method. Because when you start to actually document, okay, how do we do this? number one, we do this. Number two, we do this. Number three, go through it step by step. You're going to figure out, oh man, look at this. Number four, we don't even need to do number four. Why are we doing that? When on number two, we covered that. You start to find redundancies. You start to find wasted steps. You start to realize what's missing, or, oh, wow, if we switch, step five with step nine, we would eliminate this problem that we're having, 20% of the time with this going wrong. And so even if you never plan on selling your business or being away, or you don't really care about it running without you, you're crazy not to systematize what you're doing, because you really don't know what you're doing until you really document it. I like what you were talking about too earlier, Rob, with about a context switching. Man, that is a huge thing. And like batching tasks. How, that's another thing that a time and energy audit shows you, is like as you go through your day and you start to look at, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how I feel about it. This is what it's really actually worth. Um, and you start to figure out, what parts of the day or what parts of the week you do a better job. You're more like in the zone, for whether it's doing sales or doing stuff that you don't really like to do. If you're not into office work, but you have to do it. You can start to figure out when you've got the right energy for that, and you can batch your tasks together so that like you're getting all of your office work done on Tuesday afternoon when it works best for you, or you're putting all your sales calls together. And, the time of day, the time of the week when it works best, and you just increase your efficiency that way.
Or walk-ins. Like you find those pockets of man, walk-in nightmares are horrible in the morning.
What?
Hiring new people
Okay.
is horrible. Like hiring new people with the 2 3 hours it takes to have, well, walk-ins at the wrong time can be a nightmare if you're trying to get your guys on the road. So we created some appointment measure calendar or a showroom calendar where they can come, and now they know there's a place you can go and book time to come in. Now we know you're coming and we can have things set aside for you, know the context of your job, welcome you a lot better than some of the chaos of these smaller shops, especially our blue collar one in Austin where people were drinking, cursing, and doing whatever music they wanted in our low barrier shop that we had in the back, and customers walking into whatever environment it was without those standards and without knowing the people were coming. Guys were there day and night, but it allowed us to have the booking calendar remove people from the process. New hires having a system where 2 days before they automatically get a lot of the documents, a lot of the pre stuff filled out, understand some of the training videos of what they're going to go through. Because it doesn't matter when you're doing one guy every once in a while, but when 5 people get hired in 2 weeks and you spend an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours in a morning block over and over again, having to sit with them while they fill their paperwork, and they're not on the road making you money, and they might be partners with someone who's not able to go function, even though you hired them to be twice as effective. So learning how you can create a system that heals all that stuff outside of your 8 hour block, or at least does 80% of it. So when they start and they come, they're ready to go, hop in the truck, all the other stuff they used to wait for someone to do in-house while they're doing 10 other things. You're forcing them to context switch. You're forcing them like, that's where it is. Yeah, the catalog in Cornell University. It was page 136 in his book that talks about this certain thing about context switching and what he calls bleed time. The bleed time that you do to your staff that might not matter with these small actions, and you say, who cares? But it's costing your business money. It's costing you them to be able to produce less and handle less of that staff that you need them to do daily. And when you can reduce that for them, that's clean. Even when like the systems become the language you speak. Before we couldn't back up our guys because no picture before, no process for cleaning, no bringing the customer in after. did you chip the tile? Did you chip that counter? We just have to pay out because now we got a bad review, or they know other whatever. Sometimes your guys don't help you very much in fighting for them. When you have a process where you have to take the picture, not because I want you to become a photographer and I hired you as a glass guy, they'll tell you all kinds of stuff with attitude when you ask them to do these things when you hired them for glass. And now I'm not a photographer, I'm not a videographer, I just do showers. I just do glass. Like, but they pick up the phone to FaceTime their girlfriend or wife or kid or grandkid. They can go pick up and click the camera app and take the picture before, and then when they're done, take it after, and it could show that it's clean and all your stuff is gone. And now, when someone calls and says you chipped this, did that, this is leaning, this was wrong, you can say it must have been the tile guy or somebody else, because here is how we left it. It's in our process, and it becomes your language to defend your guys in the system from the beginning. Your very first phone call is actually our process isn't to do that. So I don't think it was us, because our old conversations were really. I'll have to talk to him, but I don't know, but I don't know because he could have done it because we don't have a process. But when there is one, I could say, "Did you follow it? Where's the pictures? Thank you. You backed me up, and now I'll go to war for you." And the language of your business happens through all those small systems you create of where y'all park, what y'all do before, what y'all do after, how many times you touch base before, cold leads, warm leads, done leads, and how you respond to them when material comes in. When you know what your process is, it's not a blame game. It's just who failed or did we fail? Usually the owner, you want to say you did. The book by Jocko Willink and Lee Babin, those Navy SEAL guys who were in the height of the war, this book, Extreme Ownership, talks about how effective it is to just take extreme ownership over every issue there is, make it your problem, and come up with a surefire way that it wouldn't have happened no matter what, because you created a new system, because your higher ups don't care about your excuse. And that was his, and he took that same mindset to business. It doesn't matter who did what, your fault, your head.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by GlassGadget.com. Showcase Innovations creates tools that help shower door installers be more efficient and save time. Check out GlassGadget.com for more information. So where are you guys at as far as, your systems, your standard operating procedures? Do you have any? Do you have some, or have you started on it and working on it, thinking about it?
They're all up in our heads.
Up in our
And
heads.
they're not on
Yeah.
paper yet. Like I'm sure, like the majority of us, like we have the shit that we do on a daily basis, and we do it consistently in a systematic way. It just ain't on paper yet. We haven't got to that step. Like I've got stuff that I do on a daily basis, and we have a workflow of how everything happens on a normal basis, and we know it, but we're still small to where we can still manage it in our heads and running the systems in our heads, and we haven't documented it yet, more or less,
Mhm.
you know. So if somebody was to work with us for a day, they could probably like for a week, they could be like, okay, this is what this guy does. This is how this business runs. It's very consistent from this time to this time, and it's just not documented. That's all,
Mhm.
you know. Everybody, and that's mainly because the people that have been with us for, I think the majority of our people have been with us anywhere between 5 to 14 years, so everybody knows what's going on and they know how the things operate at the scale we're at. To grow, we would definitely need it to be written down and documented and stuff like that. But as it is now, it's just all up here.
Mhm.
So
Well, and I think, my experience over the years working at different class shops, whatever, I mean, that was kind of how it was everywhere. I mean, you can have kind of a culture of like, oh, this is the way that we do it here. Everybody knows that like this is our way. We do this, we do that, and then that gets passed on. If you've got a strong culture and a relatively small group of people, I mean, I think you can get away with that. And it's like you say, it's not that you don't have a system, you just don't have it documented. So it
Yeah.
sounds like, like that's just kind of the next step for you if you should
Mhm.
to take it, is like get those processes down on paper.
No, I did that since we do everything, window repairs, everything. I wrote up, how I wanted everything done. It's in a binder,
Nice.
you know, if they read it, that'd be nice.
The Bible. Tim wrote the
Bible.
glass
I mean,
Bible for the shop.
we did, wood sash repairs, putty glaze. I wrote everything, before heavy shower doors came along, we did all the stick shower, the semi-frameless,
Mhm.
and I wrote up a procedure and everything, how I wanted it done, you know.
Wow, that's awesome. I believe that about you, Tim. You're that kind of guy, man.
I
You're the
even
kind of
wrote, I
guy
even
who's
have a
like,
book for my guy, and he knows what is supposed to be on the truck to do a frameless shower door. We have a box in the back with all the setting blocks, and he actually reads it all the time to make sure he has everything on the truck before we go out, you know,
so it's like a checklist, basically.
a checklist.
Yeah.
Well, I had these other two clowns. I had to write a checklist for them because I couldn't trust them past first base, And I did away with that one, but the guy I have now, he's right on it. And he'll pull out the book and read it and make sure everything's on the truck we need.
You've done the hard part then, because if you've already written that, you can make digital versions of that all day for people. And the hard part is getting the person who knows what they're doing to actually sit down and document everything. Because once you have the expert's knowledge out of their head, then I like to use different tools. Like the best one I've done so far is taking a picture of a sheet and using the tool to grab all the words out of it and make me a PDF. Like, hey, here's all the SOPs I have on this sheet I have. Here's 3 pictures and here's all the instructions I need. And it created a PDF. We printed it, put it next to the office, and it only had the 5 things for her. But I had with that document, it was able to create the 5 different PDFs I always thought I wanted to create later, but didn't have time. But the hard part is here's the tried and true stuff of what needed. And when you have that blueprint, there's so many things you can create from it, whether it's easy responses, easy templates, or categorizing your info into some digital library where now they can search it and find it even easier. That's the cool stuff I like to do with the people that have done the real hard work. Because no matter what cool ideas you have for these systems, if the expert isn't playing game, then you just have a bunch of whack data. But
I made a
you need
printout
the Tims.
for doing shower doors, the job name, PO. They go down the checklist, Of course, they check everything off. Well, what are you doing that for? Because not everything belongs to that, pertains to that shower door. Just check off what you're supposed to check off, I mean, I had to do it because I just got frustrated because, they get off the job site. Where's this? Where's that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Repeated questions is an opportunity for a missing process. If they ask that same question over and over again, it's like,
Oh yeah,
all right, I thought I told you 100 times, but obviously I need to create a
you're not getting
system,
through your six
a
heads. So
dummy proof.
here's a checklist, and
Yeah.
they go down, they check every box off, and I go, not all this pertains to this shower door. So why are you checking it off for? That means you're not reading it.
Paint by numbers is what I call it. To create your system easy enough to be paint by numbers, where yes, you want the experienced guys that know how to do it, but what happens if one gets sick? And
Yeah.
can you bring someone new in and give them something
Yeah.
to follow? Give them paint by numbers. 1 is red, 2 is blue, 3 is green.
Yeah.
and not having them know like, well, I haven't been here long enough. What's one? Well, ask Ronnie. He knows. It's like, okay, hey, what's one? And they're just trying to figure out what's two, and there's going to be a lot of blanks that they can fill themselves if you empower them with that little glossary first. And most people don't even give them the glossary. They're just like, glass, cool, come on.
Yeah.
And I don't know
When
what's
they
wrong
get
with this
out the
person.
job
They said
site,
they
go,
need glass.
this isn't right. Well, you checked it off, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenging things about shower doors and installation procedures for shower doors is kind of like what you're alluding to there, Tim. The fact that, they're different, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you may do a lot of single doors, single frameless doors, and that's, pretty straightforward, or
Yeah.
single splash panels or whatever. A lot of like inline door and panels, do a lot of those.
Right.
But then, you get it once you get into other stuff, neo angles, or like you've got
You got
what
kneel angles, you got inline shower doors with a bench.
knee walls, yeah,
You
it's
know,
like
I mean, there's nothing
all
normal
just a
about
little bit different.
what
So,
I do.
rather than having like 105 different procedures for all the different configurations that you might run into, and then there'll be a new one,
I
there's
just have a procedure
after
so
that.
when they get the glass out and check it out, they make sure they have everything on the truck they need and all the glass is right.
Right.
You
Right,
know.
because there's certain tasks you're going to do on every
Yeah.
installation. So, it's easier to break everything into single tasks, and when I was helping somebody do an SOP like this, that's what we kind of figured out was that there should be a training for how to install a clip,
Yeah.
this kind of clip, that kind of clip, how to install U channel and what that procedure is going to be. And then, how to install a hinge, how to install a pivot. That way, you've got whatever configuration you come up with, there's, like a series of steps that you can refer someone to.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. I mean, it only takes 1 minute to shoot a video of
Yeah.
someone installing a clip. And then and now you've got one. Just make a list of, the steps that are in that. May only be 5 steps. And boom, you've got a playbook for installing a clip. And that's where it all starts. And then you just go to the next one. And then pretty soon, you can have a Google Drive where you've got all these videos, all these checklists, and they just accumulate over time. So, if you've got a business that you've had for 20 years, I mean, in 20 years, you can make a lot of videos.
20 years, you could also do a lot of nothing. I can tell you all about it.
Yeah, well, or you could do that, That's possible. But I mean, it's never too late to start, and especially now with the technology there is. I mean, what Rob was talking about, like using AI, um, to do it, but not to kind of get you to a certain point, like maybe 80% or whatever,
Mhm.
and then not actually executing, but just getting it kind of teed up for you, really. I mean, that's Dan Martell writes about that, in the book too, of using a human for that. I think when he wrote the book, it was probably before AI was where it's at now, but like having an administrative assistant and doing your banking for you. It's like, wow, you're gonna let an administrative assistant like do your banking? He's like, yeah, absolutely. He talks about having his assistant like do all of his email, personal, business, everything. So like he doesn't even look at his inbox until his assistant has already read it and figured out what to do with it. But you can have your assistant set up a wire transfer and give them the permissions to do everything except that last execution of sending it. So they get it all set up. You get on your phone, go on there and just do the last step, just to make sure that, everything's squared away. And then boom, you know. So you can have 90% of all the work done, and all it really needs is just your last little okay.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
talks about his 10-80-10 rule. Like 10% is like your input in the beginning, which is pretty much how you do your glass business too. If you're not a one-man show, at the beginning, you're the only one that can do the quality. At some point, you set the direction at the beginning with 10% of your ownership view. They did 80% of the middle work if you have a great system. And then at the 10% at the end, you review the output before it goes out and give your stamp of approval. And like that's kind of how you should approach all the things that you don't want to do, don't light you up one by one. We even brought in a videographer for a year and a half, 2 years. It doubled as our social content creator, but we brought in a person because we couldn't do any of this. First, there was a person that actually audited everyone. They sat there for a week and they wrote down what everyone was doing all throughout the day. Why? We couldn't follow the advice to do that ourselves. We failed. So we hired someone else to do it and we just did our job. And they documented what we were doing throughout the day and then displayed to us what our output was and what we were doing and what those tasks were categorized as, or asked us more questions to know what exactly were you doing in this pocket of time. Then with that data, we were able to hire a videographer, come in and record what people are doing throughout the day and now ask questions. Hey, what are you doing right now? I'm doing this. Cool. Can we make one of those training videos that's on our list of 1,000 things to do? 1,000 videos we need to make that we've had for 20 years and haven't made any? Sure, let's knock out that one because that's what I'm doing now. And he would just ask, what are you doing, Rob? Go to the screen, go to this. How are you doing it? Great. Can you record your video too? And he would go and create the how-tos. He was not great at it because he had no idea about glass, but at least it was a starting point. He documented, he asked the questions, we had a rough draft, and now we can create an SOP and remove ourselves from doing that task. Because if you left for 2 weeks, would everything be done right? And if not, like slowly figure out how you can leave your business for a week. Have someone handle that. The same way you send them out to a truck to install, and before you end up sent out one person, everything in your business can be treated that way. One by one. If you can't do it yourself, hire someone to come and just record you and ask questions. It could be a teenager that has nothing to do, so you don't have to pay them, child labor laws.
Pay them in
Chris,
pizza.
you were talking about having a administrative assistant doing your banking. Is that what you said?
Yep.
You got to be careful about that.
Well, no, you don't.
Well, because a major contractor here on the Central Coast, whoever did the banking took him for $2 million.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you were at Glassbill when Dustin Anderson told the story about how he got wiped out by his assistant or whoever it was, somebody
Oh, yeah.
in his organization, and what a learning experience that was. But see, the thing is, you can set up permissions so that it limits what someone can do in your bank.
Oh, yeah.
So you can set it up to where your assistant can set up a transfer for $1 million, a wire transfer, but they can't execute it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's bank dependent.
But
Right.
then we had a window company here in Salinas, and he got taken too.
Oh yeah, happens all the time. Well,
Yeah.
or at least it used to. I
Yeah.
mean, nowadays there's no excuse for that because there's levels. You can give people different levels of access.
I mean, they wouldn't say the name of the company. It was called Don Chapin Company, which is a major
yeah, I've heard those
company here on the Central Coast,
Yeah, yeah, I've heard
And
those
she was taking him to the cleaners,
Yep. What were you saying, Saul?
No, I was just saying that I'm sure that's bank dependent in terms of permissions and what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yeah, I'm sure to some degree,
Yeah.
but I think everybody has the same technology now, pretty much, I mean, the technology is just,
I don't, yeah. To give someone access to initiate a transfer of funds but then have that go to someone else for approval? Probably. I mean, I'd have to ask the bank, but I don't think, as far as I know now, my bank can't do that, but I've never asked a question,
Right.
right?
Right. But yeah, I mean,
That's
even the thing of like email, to me, like when I first heard that, it made me bristle. It's like, oh wow, have somebody, have access to all my email, even my personal email. Sounded kind of weird, but the more I hear it, the more I think about it. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's got, you've got to trust the person. You write, you write up some an
Yeah.
agreement, and stuff like that. But you can still have, you can have personal, private conversations. Like, and he was talking about, that's what he uses text for. It's like anything really personal, someone can text him or whatever. But to be able to not have to check your email. And so he says, so your email, your administrative assistant should be doing all of your email and handling all of your calendar. He's like, people ask me, do you mean, you can't put anything on your own calendar? And he says, yeah, that's right. I can't put anything on my calendar. If something goes on my calendar, I tell my assistant to put it on my calendar. I check with it, it's like I don't even know it's on my calendar. It's like, she tells me what it is. And if I need to put something in there, I check with her and say, hey, I want to add something. Where's a good spot to put it,
Okay.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I don't know how big you have to be to need that. I don't think you need to be very big at all. And
He
he's
said
saying
not big at all. A one man
because
shop can do it. Like that's his first bit of advice. That's chapter one of what he has all his coaching clients do for years is have somebody. What is the biggest distraction of you? If you are the main money maker for the business, you have the biggest ideas, the biggest drive. You're going to take the bit company in the right direction, and it's your conversations that are going to do it, not your sales guy that's on the truck installing. Then where's the ROI of your time and where do you have to focus that at? And your diluted focus in your inbox, answering newsletters, responding to queries, responding to how-tos, like that's distraction from you. And if you want to go to that 4 hour work week that they talk about, 4 hour a day work week, or at least just any kind of life where you're not 12 hours a day. Some business owners are there, have been there, will always be there, but it's 12 hours they hate. And that's how that admin email has saved all his clients. That's the number one thing because it just how much time we spend in our inbox checking, responding, going and looking, researching whatever links those are, getting distracted. And when someone else just brings to you, like, here's the things I couldn't answer. And you only have like 2 hours of the day, like in this portion of the day, and this portion of the day is when they're going to tell you about your emails. Or you can go look at the inbox that's already sorted. The 80% of the fluff is deleted or responded to, and the three are starred that they couldn't respond to because they weren't sure how. And now you're responding to three emails, not deleting 20, 30, 40, and responding to easy questions that she went and found the answer and responded back to. And like that's just doing that saves you like hiring a cook. Yeah, you could cook yourself, but once someone's cooking 3 meals a day, like why would you go back? Like, this is what that assistant does. You don't need it, but once you have it, you don't go back.
yeah. And he says this is the first employee you should hire. The first
Mm-hmm.
person you should hire should be an administrative assistant before you hire any other employees. Now, the guy's, he's a software guy, right? So, you got to take that into account. It's a little bit different than being in construction. But there's a lot, I see a lot of wisdom in it, you know.
something what you guys were just talking about with that banking and the fraud and stuff like that just triggered something in my brain. And I'm reading a book, and what you guys were touching on sounded like segregation of duties, making sure that there's checks and balances. So that's just I know you like books, and this is the book I'm reading. It's called The Personal MBA.
All right.
It's by Josh Kaufman, but the chapter just before I'm on now was talking about financials and talking about segregation of duties, which sounded like something that would prevent that $2 million scandal crap that you're talking about. So, which is nice, to have that, especially if you're having other people responsible for important things.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, in my opinion, it's like, it's really not fair to the other person to put them in a position where they're constantly um, being tempted
Hmm.
do something. You know what I mean? It's like I think it's more fair to everybody to say, okay, here, your responsibility is going to be to manage this, but you're not going to be in a position where you can make a mistake that's going to really cost the company a lot of money, right? You can just put it that way. And it's not a matter of, of trust. I mean, person's not in that position anyway if you obviously trust them, right? But there's no reason that that person should have the access to make that big decision. Dan Martell talks about giving people permission to like spend $500. It's like everybody has permission to spend $500 without asking for permission. But our next meeting, they have to tell me, that they spent it and why. But it's like, um, you can set these limits to where and it could be $5,000. It just depends on where they're at on your team or whatever. It could be $50. It starts out as $50, right? But he says for him it's 500. And for each person, it would be different. But yeah, there are a lot of ways to control things nowadays. It's just permissions. It's just like giving someone access to your website or your email or whatever. I mean, you can set the permissions. Some people have this much access, some people have administrative access to where they can, you know, um, change the whole thing or delete everything or whatever. I mean, I give that to Rob, but pretty
I
much
have
not,
admin access to
pretty
so
not
many people's
much,
things.
not
It's
anybody
insane.
else.
I have like 50, 60 email logins, like 40 of them are mine, like 20 other people's emails of so many people websites and access to all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that's what's the nightmare. Hey, we just hired a Google Ad guy. Cool. Okay. Can you tell the owner to check his email? It's a 30-second code, 1 minute code. Okay, great. So all of this back and forth between me and 5, 6 locations and all these people that needed access to all these platforms and the email and the codes. And once they just gave me either create a secondary email, that's the company one, or just give me your logins. Like, and just monitor everything and do who cares? Like, I don't, whatever. But trust somebody to go in. And now, how many times do you get called business owner? 0 times this month. What happened? You started launch campaigns. They got the media they needed. They got responded to because either you had an admin or you had somebody had access you trusted to give the codes, do the pixels, give this 5-digit code. And if you don't have the trust, then give them all the power, but just make everything 2FA, 3FA. You can go to the settings of everything important in your life and say, I want 2-factor authentication and I want it to be my face. Or I want it to be a text to my phone because I will always have this on me. Or I want it to always be my fingerprint. And this will be the only authorization that is needed. They might have my password, they might have everything. But if they don't have my fingerprint or my face or whatever I set up for my bank, my app, whatever, all these things now have the ability to give you the power to say people will need 2 passwords to get in. And one of them is this thumb. And it will, that's the another way to set up like permissions, giving people access to your stuff by having these 2FAs. But when you do, frees you up from being the business owner or having to deal with the back and forth because you wanted certain things launched or built, but you didn't realize how many times you'd have to be because you're the owner of the GMB profile or the Facebook ad account or the page, or your wife was or the old employee was. No one knows who owns the page. And how many hours have I spent with business owners trying to find out who created their Google profile, who owns the right one, who owns the domain, where's it at, where's that web guy at, can he upload this code? And 3 weeks later, that thing that was going to be done in 3 days still ain't done. Whose fault is it? I don't know. But I'm not in the game to point the fingers. I'm just in the game to fix it. And I know what fixes it is having people in place you can trust to do these things for you because owners are the bottleneck most of the time. And when you empower your staff, I started getting empowered for certain companies. $50 fix, do it. You saw that $60 tool, you'd be useful. It could have helped us save an hour instead of 10 hours. You didn't buy it because you were waiting for my answer. You now have authority to do it. Instead, now the next meeting is, hey, a week ago I bought this tool, did this stuff. Here's how I helped us and how much time. Thanks for empowering me as your staff, as your consultant, to make these decisions that I know will help us. Because that's what happens when your staff knows your mission, is bought in, and you trust them, like they make good calls in your favor. And now you got leaders rising, doing stuff and creating this stuff for you. But yeah, empowering them with that $50 thing is a great thing to start doing. Give them some sort of power and see if you create someone that's actually powerful in your company. That's what you need. You need leaders to lead when you're gone.
I know. Awesome. Great topic. Yeah, man.
So wait. So for example, $50. Let let who do what? Let who spend what? As an
Right.
example.
So like let's say so your installers have permission to spend $50 to get something, a tool, drill bits,
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, all
without
my
asking for permission,
yeah, okay. I mean, they all have a card, right? Because they put fuel on it, right?
right?
And my guys can go to the, you know, if they need if they need mastic or whatever, right? And they need a drill bit, yeah, they can go to Home Depot. I don't micromanage that, but I do want to know when they go.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So that's exactly the policy.
But is there anyone on this call who doesn't have that? Daniel, Tim?
We just give them what they need before they leave. Like
Yeah.
if they need something while they're out in
Yeah,
the field, we failed to prepare them for the day.
so every single morning before they go out on a job, you are making sure they have every single drill bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Every time, like so,
But
my
they I mean, you know, things are
yeah.
fluid. Things are fluid, right? They get on a job site, something happens, a drill,
They should
they,
have what they need for those moments, but like as far as the standard things, like before they leave, if they've got five shower doors on the truck for the day, they've got. I'm asking them before they leave, or somebody's asking them before they leave. Hey, you got five shower doors. We allow a drill bit per shower door. Do you need five drill bits? Or do you have some? Or are you good? So
well,
we'll give them before. So
first
there's
of
that.
all, if your guys are doing five shower doors in one day, I'm flying to where you are and I'm learning what you're doing. Okay. That's
They
first
did
of
four
all.
door. One of my crews did four door and panels yesterday for me, and less
Nice.
than 4 hours. I
That
mean,
that's amazing. That's awesome.
It
Yeah.
is. Congratulations.
Um, but
they
are you micromanaging the drill bit? I mean, you're telling me that if
the
they have
drill bits
five
are locked up, and we charge one per shower door. And I asked them before they leave, hey, do you need any? I said, do you need any drill bits? And they said, yeah. And if they say yes, I'm like, okay, you got two shower doors on your truck, you're getting two drill bits. That's all you're getting. If it's like
wow.
a 90-degree shower door or something where I know they got excess holes off, like something where they got extra holes, I'll be like, okay, I'll give you two for this shower door. And it's no, like they like it's if it's
Why did you start doing that? That's I mean,
because
I,
we're trying to manage the process, and it's like shit disappears too quickly. It's like
Yeah.
Yes.
like stuff disappears too quickly. It's like, dude, you've got soft tile on this one. Manage it better. Save that drill bit. Use a dull one. You got soft tile. Don't use the brand new one. I'll give you a brand new one, but save that shit for the next job when you have hard tile.
Yeah.
Like so we're charging one drill bit per shower door. So that's what you're getting. And if we're supplying them, that's what you're getting.
So
I can
Sal, don't
say
you have?
we had to
And
do the
then
same.
like we don't like, so we have a bandsaw. We have a nice bandsaw for the Cambridge sliding shower doors, any of those with there's maybe rarely are there two different trucks going out that both have like a Serenity or a Cambridge or something. So rarely do they need we need two of those. So, we're checking, make sure, hey, if you have this, we're making sure they take this bandsaw with them. One of our guys has a cordless one, so props to him, bonus to him. He spent some of his money on a tool and got his own shit, and it's cordless. So, like, yeah, no, we I say micromanage it, but it's not micromanaging. We're just
No,
managing the
no,
damn process.
no, I respect. I mean, look, I respect that. I'm not talking it down at all. I don't do it that way, which is not. Um, it's not a boon, right? Like I'm not. That's not a brag at all. I'm not saying I know. I probably give them too much leniency. But at
Mhm.
this, but at the same time, man, if I have to count for every drill bit, I don't want to do this, right? Like that's just where I am. And
Yeah, we're not counting for every drill bit. That's, like it's kind of
I,
our system that we have is one drill bit per shower door, and somebody that has access to where they're at will go get them if they need them that day,
yeah,
and then,
Yeah, but they've all got more drill bits on their trucks.
oh yeah,
Yeah, they're not
The
dull, they'll
old
absolutely.
still
ones,
work,
yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. So and then
Yeah.
they manage the load process as far as getting their glass and their hardware and stuff like that. And if they need something, we'll be there in the morning to help them. So our system is like from about 8 to 9, we're getting the guys out the door. So whatever the hell I got to do to get the guys loaded and out the door from that hour, that's
yeah,
what I'm doing every day.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
from there, then it turns in from 9 to 10, it turns into office sales stuff. And then from 10 to the end of the day, it turns into additional office sales stuff or get my ass out into the field and start measuring stuff.
yeah.
So
That's
Sam,
our
don't you
system.
have a supply
Okay.
of silicone and drill bits
But yeah,
for your
yeah,
guys?
yeah. They get that themselves too. So like the silicone and shims and setting blocks and all that stuff, they have free access to that.
Okay.
But so that we don't really, that's in a supply closet. So, but yeah, like, yeah, and the
Yeah, we
mastic and
learned we
stuff
had
like
to
that.
lock stuff up because how many people? Well, when we buy one at a time, we're like, well, we could save a lot of money if we buy 100 at a time. But when you
Yeah.
buy a
Yeah,
hundred at a time, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, instead of using five a week, you're losing 10 a week.
Yeah.
How many
yeah,
Yeah.
side jobs are y'all doing? How many either side jobs are y'all doing with my silicone, my mastic, my drop mirrors, and because I have no count, no inventory, no nothing, I could be supplying a whole other business.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Yes.
it was that fear we had that made us try to be a little more monitoring because we realized buying in bulk wasn't it created a different problem. And we trusted our guys, but just noticing how much more wasteful they were if we didn't like try to restrict how much they could use of paper towels or whatever. Like, do whatever you got to do, but
I
don't
mean,
start a side business and don't just steal.
when you got a whole roll of toilet paper in the bathroom with you, you don't care how much is left on that roll. But when there ain't much left, you're gonna manage that shit very well, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a matter of
Oh,
if you
boy.
have excess drill bits, it's gonna go. You're gonna use them. If you
yeah.
got few drill bits to use, you're gonna watch it. So,
Okay.
All
but I
right, you
mean, we've got.
guys.
All
Yeah.
right.
Good
Well,
conversation.
we
Time
ran
to
over a
home.
lot.
We're out of
All
time.
right. Thank
Time
you
to
guys.
home.
We should talk
Hey,
about this some more. Maybe next time.
I have one more question for Rob. Did you do a thumbs up and there was some sort of
Yeah,
bubble
he
thing
did.
on your screen that threw up a
I saw,
thumbs up?
Yeah, there's also,
I, s-
I believe, the hearts.
What is that
Yeah.
shit?
He's got that
I
set
try
up
to turn
on.
on all the things on my profile. There's a
Uh,
lot of Zoom settings. We'll do that on the next call.
Yeah,
We'll
that
cover your Zoom
no,
settings.
no. See, Daniel, his administrative assistant coded into the program for every
Yes,
time he thumbs up.
exactly.
That's what he
Thank you,
pays the
Heather.
person to do.
working
So
behind the scenes.
yeah,
what happens if you wave goodbye and end the phone call? Does it wave goodbye?
it
It
just
should,
Bye.
it should do that.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
yeah.
All
Good
right,
All right.
guys.
night.
See you guys.
All right,
See ya.
guys, take it easy, man.
Good night.